So the days are getting longer and the snow and ice are starting to melt. Welcome back to the Garden Hutch. Today we're going to discuss week 6 of 2022. Let's get going. Well, the first thing I want to show you in this week's vlog is we did get some winter weather. I'm not sure if you can hear it crunching under my feet as we migrate through the yard here, but we got significantly more ice than snow. It looks like just a small dusting of snow. We did, however, get about 3/4 inch of ice. We are very fortunate here on the homestead. We did not lose power, but here in Arkansas, there were hundreds of thousands of folks that had to go a couple days without power. So thoughts go out to you people. Hope everything's going well for you. As you can see, the ice that we got earlier this week is now starting to melt off. It's getting close to 50 degrees here towards the end of week 6. Week 7 looks like we're going to have several days in the mid 60s, maybe even 70 degrees, so that's something to look forward to. As most of you know, as the snow and ice melt, the ground turns into a mud hole. So we try to stay off it as much as possible during that period. So that begs the question, what did we get done this week? During the first part of the week, as you saw, we had a lot of ice and snow. So one of the things we got done during that period was we ordered some inner tubes for some of the tires for the garden carts and the wheelbarrows. I know a lot of times in the past we would just buy new tires because they're kind of a pain in the rear end to do, but the price of the new tires has gotten outrageous. 2 years ago, on this very same garden cart that we're using, we had a flat tire. We just went down to the local wrench store. We just replaced the whole tire, the rim, the whole nine, and it was only $21. I went down there before the snow to price them, and they were over $50 a piece. So that's an insane amount of money to pay the difference. You know, you're looking at almost 30 bucks. So what we did was we went online and we started looking into the tubes that fit inside the tires. And while it is much more manual intensive and it wasn't something I was familiar doing beforehand, so it took me a while, you know, like just getting the tire done. It was an effort just to do one. I ended up having 4 tires total after we checked them all to do. So we got all the inner tubes and we got all the tires done. It probably took me a good, I don't know, 7 hours or so just to do 4 tires because I was so unfamiliar with the process, and taking them off was terrible. That was the hardest part for me. And then I got smart, watched some YouTube videos on how to get the tires back on and put the inner tubes in. Things went a bit smoother after that point, but that was one thing that we got done this week. A second thing that we got completed this week was we went ahead and went through and set up the inside greenhouse. We have not put the new greenhouse up outside yet because we won't need that until the end of week 8, I believe. So we'll put that up. Leslie's taking a day off of work. She wants to help set it all up and give her input and such. So we'll be doing that in a couple weeks, and we'll show you all where we're going to put it and what it looks like before and after and all of that sort of thing. We have some topsoil left over and mulch that we're going to put and just sort of frame it in the bottom. So hopefully it can stand up to a lot of the wind that we have in this part of the country at this time of year. The reason we set the greenhouse up inside was it's getting close to time to start our peppers and tomatoes and eggplant indoors. And we've talked about this on previous videos, but just to kind of give you an idea of why we get it set up this time of year, it's important to have peppers, tomatoes, and eggplants in an area where they can get enough heat for the seeds to start. There are a lot of different ways to do this. Some people use heat mats to start their plants, their tomatoes and peppers specifically. As we stated earlier, peppers are the ones that are the most notorious in the gardening community for needing the heat to germinate. But if you have a southern facing window like we do, it gets sunlight about 8 hours a day, and that keeps it warm. Now, we do not use the natural sunlight to actually start the peppers, tomatoes, and eggplants. What we have is we have grow lights in the greenhouse that we hang. That way we can kind of dictate how high they are over the top. Meaning, you know, like you want to start off with about 2 inches so they don't get leggy is the term people use. So we can adjust all of that in that greenhouse inside, and that gives us a chance to get our peppers, tomatoes, eggplants started, so that if they do have a bit of time that they need, and you know, instead of germinating 3 or 4 days, if it is a little cooler and these seeds take a bit longer, we allow ourselves that time early in the year. And as we said, we do have a newer greenhouse this year, and it's got more room just in case we have the peppers and tomatoes, they take off earlier in the year. It allows us the room that we don't have to panic and put them in before we want to. Our target date is April 30th. Again, you can, if you go off of the freeze date, you can put them in the ground before that. We wait until April 30th just because we don't seem to get any more tomatoes or tomatoes earlier or anything along those lines if we put them in early April. And you also have to deal with all the headaches that Mother Nature can throw at you during that time of year. So the second thing that we got done this week was setting up the inside greenhouse. And the third and final thing that we got accomplished this week was sort of inventory. We're going to get a dozen chickens here in the next couple weeks, and I can't wait to show you all those. They're going to be fun. We're going to get a dozen chickens, and so we had to go through and make sure we had all the necessary materials to raise the chickens. We have the trough that we bought for our original ones. They easily will fit a dozen. We got it in case we wanted 3 dozen, so 1 dozen will fit in there just fine. We made sure that our heat lamps were working. We cleaned out a spot in the barn for them. We started checking stuff on the weather and asking around for when the type of chicken we're gonna be looking for is available. And unfortunately, right now, the way that our local ranch store is, they don't know what sort the breeds of the chickens until they arrive. So that leaves us at kind of a point where we have to call up there every Tuesday, find out what chickens arrived. But that's okay. We don't mind. We have everything set up, and you know, a week or 2 here or there now isn't going to put us too far behind as far as the egg laying schedule. Again, we're still getting our chicks, believe it or not, even during all of this ice and everything, we've been getting 7 eggs a day on average, I think. So it's actually increased, and that doesn't usually happen. But so we're getting 7 eggs a day. We add, you know, a dozen if you get, so we might be up to, you know, 15 eggs. That would be fantastic if we could get 15 eggs in a day. That would allow us to eat a lot more eggs. It might also allow us to recoup some of our feed from selling the eggs. A lot of people this time right now anyway, especially with the way the grocery stores are and that sort of stuff, you can sell your eggs for a reasonable price. We sell ours for $2.25. I've seen them selling some places up to $4. So we do our, you know, we sell $2.25 because we're not trying to make money on it. We're just trying to recoup our cost, and it's generally to family, and we don't want to, you know, feel like we're taking advantage or anything. So we did that inventory, and then the last inventory that we did was our seed audit. Now, I know you all have seen me with my box of seeds, and we've had seeds. I went through to make sure that we had a lot of things. But what I wanted to make sure through the seed audit was that I had everything together. None of my seeds that I had were expired. And I wanted to make sure that I had them logged. I have an Excel spreadsheet that I use, and I wanted to make sure that I use the brand. Going forward, our Urban Farmer is fantastic. We know their seeds are great. But what I haven't done is I haven't done like a ratio of seed planted to plant raised. So that's something I want to do this year as I'm tracking how much we grow. I want to find out what seeds are doing the best. Is it just in my head that Urban Farmer is better than other seeds, or is there factual basis behind it? So that's another thing that we wanted to do, was make sure that we had in our spreadsheet, we wanted to make sure that we had an accurate account of which seed came from which company and what the actual variety of it is. We did find out though that I had my early crookneck squash, I thought that it was non-GMO. Come to find out, back in the day, I had ordered it and I didn't check it. And so I was glad I did that. I was able to go ahead and get some non-GMO early crookneck squash delivered. And so we'll have it in plenty of time. So we don't have to rely on the stores carrying it or that sort of thing. As always, if you've made it this far into the video, I would like to say thank you. If you have not at this point, please make sure to subscribe to our channel and click the little bell icon. YouTube will notify you when we release new content. Also, if you enjoyed this video, consider giving it a like. Until next time, I hope you folks take care of yourselves. Peace.